everyone, my name is Jireh and today I will be sharing with you my story and testimony as a fashion blogger, fashion designer, and a follower of Jesus Christ. I accepted Christ into my heart as my personal Lord and Savior when I was just a little girl, and it was a Michigan night, and I was sitting on my bed, and my mom was sitting to my right, and she started telling me about Jesus and how much he loves me and what he did on his time on earth, and that he died for my sins. And she eventually asked me if I wanted to spend eternity with him in heaven, and I said yes. So I repeated the prayer after her, and I remember she ran ecstatically downstairs to tell my dad and my older brother of what just happened. And since then, I have basically been attending church very regularly. Growing up, I went to Sunday school and youth group almost virtually. I was a part of all of the holiday programs at church and all the special occasion programs, and I just knew to pray before every meal and before every test, and before I went to bed, and just to call on the name of the Lord. And so while growing up as well, it was no secret that I was a typical girly girl. I actually, when I was 5 years old, I remember making my own little makeshift vanity, and I just put up some chairs and a table together and got some portable mirror, and I hung all of my colored beaded necklaces and bracelets and all of my other fake jewelry and accessories made out of plastic on it, and I would just pretend to trace my lips with lipstick. And I even remember my first pair of heels. I don't know if many other girls remember that time, but it was a very special moment in my life. They were white. They had just the shortest heel, but it was a heel, and they had some 3D flowers sticking out on the top, and I was so excited whenever I walked along a hardwood floor because of the clacking sound that they made. So fast forward to middle school and high school, nothing really changed. I never really left the house without feeling like I was put together. I honestly, believe it or not, I didn't do all of this to impress a boy or to impress anyone for that matter, but knowing that I looked put together and I was well dressed helped me boost my confidence. But not only that, it also was just my way of expressing my creativity, and I obviously believe that's possible with your own wardrobe, but I did it to just express my creativity and kind of be, creative and let all of those juices flow in that kind of way. Unfortunately, as I reached my senior year of high school, towards the end of it, my spiritual life started to take a downward spiral, and I got into this relationship with this guy, and it basically drew me further from Christ. And I would never put the blame on him because I was fully aware of what was happening, and that it was causing a break in my relationship with God. And I got lost in my feelings and my emotions, and being a 17-year-old girl, you think that's just your whole world at that time. And come freshman year of college, it didn't even matter that I was attending one of the nation's largest and prestigious Christian universities in the United States, but I knew deep down that I was living a double life. And I made amazing friends. I served on my college's dance team, but I would go to church, but it wasn't like the real Jireh was there. And I also wasn't very intimate in my relationship with the Lord anymore, and I wasn't reading the Bible as much as I knew I should, and just studying his word and being in his presence. So And because I was in Virginia, because that's where the school was located, and he was in Michigan, the fact that he agreed to have this long distance relationship, I just thought, surely this is something special. He is something special, someone special, and that he must really love me. And even to the point where I was like, he must be the one. In late 2009, my aunt and uncle told me about a fashion school that recently opened in the Philippines. And I didn't really think much of the distance of how far that actually was. I just knew that my family and I couldn't afford another year at the Christian university I was attending. And school in the Philippines is just so much more affordable than in the US. So I agreed and I applied. I had my interview and I got accepted. And my boyfriend at the time, we decided to keep doing the long distance and just keep pushing through it. So I was in the Philippines and he was in Michigan still, and we were together for another 9 months. And I came home to visit, and I was also there for my older brother's wedding. And I got to reunite with my family and my friends and with him, obviously, which was so amazing. I was there for about a month and came back to the Philippines, and it was one night while my boyfriend and I were Skyping. He broke up with me, and I was devastated. It just hit me in the gut, and I just froze at my computer. They say time heals all things, but this felt like eternity. And especially when our relationship got to the point of us being across the world from each other, you just invest yourself in a whole new level, from your feelings and emotions to your love. And I thought that, Virginia was something, but moving to the Philippines was just a whole nother level. And weeks would just go by that I would constantly be thinking of him. And I remember scrolling on Facebook one day, and I noticed that he was in a relationship with another girl just 3 weeks after our breakup. And I just remember the devastation and the heartache. I went 3 weeks prior, was just sucker punched into my stomach and my gut all over again. It hurt so much and it was so painful, but I knew even at that time, even in the back of my head, that God uses those times where we're at our lowest and just uses those times so we can come closer to him once again. So I knew that I had to just get my relationship with Christ back on track again, and I needed his comfort, and I just needed to remember that he loved me and that he was always there for me. And I repented and I dove deep into God's word, and I started attending church regularly, and I started attending fellowships and just being around the body of Christ again and being around other believers who were just so genuine and kind. And I just felt the joy of the Lord in my life again, and it was amazing. So meanwhile, I was studying fashion design and marketing in the Philippines, and my love for fashion just grew even more, especially with our classes like fashion illustration and sewing, obviously, apparel production, and learning the process behind that. Learning how to put on events in the fashion industry and event production, and how to wardrobe style, and just everything in the industry. And I also grew to love writing. This is when I actually started blogging, and it was called justjireh.com at the time. And I created it purely just to keep my friends and my family in the States updated with me and my life. So I would just blog and post about my fashion projects and what I was learning at school and my transition into the Philippines and just my life there at the time, and overcoming a lot of obstacles just culturally. During this time, I also was a intern for College Fashionista, so we were called style gurus at the time, basically contributors. And College Fashionista is a site where you can, where campuses and colleges and universities across the world are writing about different trends that they see throughout their campuses, and they're basically style spotting and writing about different pieces of clothing or jewelry or your shoes, anything like that. And it was solely for college students. So I was an intern for that, and I wrote for them for about a year on accessories, and I would style spot myself and whoever I saw at school. If I noticed a cool necklace or maybe their color block shoes, I would ask them if I can take a picture and write about it, and hopefully someone from across the world in another school could rock the same thing. While what I was studying may sound all glitzy and glamorous and fun, the commute to and from school was not glamorous at all. When I came to the Philippines, I became a commuter, and in the humid, hot weather of the country, it was an adventure. It was a journey just to go to school. I would walk, and then I would take 2 jeepneys, which is basically your typical average-looking Jeep, except it's extended and it has no AC, and it fits about 20 to 25 people, maybe. Yeah, about 20 people. And I would take the train where we were all packed in like sardines and basically breathing down each other's necks. And then I would get off the train, take another jeepney, and then get off and then walk the rest to school. And in all, it took about an hour and a half just to get to and from school. Basically, the girl who once felt like she had to, be put together and she just felt like she could conquer the world because she was, felt like a thing of the past. I wasn't used to this at all. Ever since kindergarten, I was so used to riding the bus that at least had air conditioning, and growing up, I was able to either catch a ride or carpool or eventually drive when I had my own license. And definitely times like that definitely made me stronger, and it showed me just to be more humble and have that humility. And I intentionally had to have to look at the positive side of it, because it really got me down. It really put this like negative hold in me, and I knew that wasn't right. Once I got the hang of commuting, I made the most of it, and I would leave early, just to kind of avoid the rush hour and avoid the train being so packed. And I would bring a change of clothes to school and just change there, and bring my heels with me and put them on at school. I would do my makeup when I got to school as well, and just made the most of it and do what I had to do. For our graduation, we had a fashion show where we had to design and produce a full line, and it had to have a story behind it. And this was the first time that I would have a full collection on the runway, so I knew that it had to be something very special and meaningful. So my collection was called the Crystal Collection, where it was just a line of couture gowns and dresses that I sewed, and I sewed on over 100 of crystal-like beads throughout the whole collection. And the inspiration came from a Christian seminar that I attended just days after my breakup, and I remember I was very hesitant on going. I did not want to attend at all, but eventually my aunt was able to get me there, and I'm so glad that I did. The inspiration came from that seminar, and they talked about how we are to live a life of significance through godly faith, and that they use a visual of a pearl, and that we are pearls. So each pearl starts off with a grain of sand, and they are unique and natural, and they undergo a ton of different processes through the waves and all the sediments, and eventually become a beautiful pearl. And with that, I took the same concept of a pearl to a crystal, because they kind of undergo the same things. And I kind of compared that with my life in the Philippines for the past 3 years. And I went through so many highs and lows throughout that time, and throughout those years in college. And I underwent my own progressive processes in order to become me. And I feel like my experiences were just similar to that of a pearl or a crystal, is that I was being shaped over time through under a lot of different pressures and processes in order to become something better. And after I graduated, I had no idea what I wanted to do after college. I just had no idea at all. It was either to stay in the Philippines or go back home to Michigan. And one night in my room, I just remember asking very vividly, like it was yesterday, just, Lord, what do you want me to do? Please tell me, because I have no idea. And in my room at night, he just spoke to me and said, I want you to bridge your faith and love for fashion together. And I had goosebumps, because it was just so vivid and such a clear calling. It was almost like I just, right there and then, I knew my life's purpose or something. It was just so strong. And eventually I moved back to the States, and in 2013, that's when I started my blog, Fashion Meets God. Throughout the years of blogging, I have been blogging on trends and just my personal wardrobe and wardrobe styling and wardrobe consulting, and also what God is teaching me in my own walk and in my own life, trying to encourage readers through my own journey. And of course, I try to encourage readers that, it's what you wear reflects your heart, and that whatever we wear on the outside, it's really on the inside that God is concerned about. By God's grace, Fashion Meets God has featured 30 women from different parts of the world with different backgrounds and incredible testimonies. It has been read in over 160 countries across the world as well, and was voted number 2 for top Christian fashion blogs by feedspot.com. In 2014, I had the opportunity to showcase my designs at Michigan Fashion Week, and over a 3-month period, I sewed 15 different dresses and gowns again that also told a story, and it was called From Darkness to Light. It was inspired by John 12:46, that reads, I have come into this world so that no one who believes in me should stay in darkness. And it was, again, 15 different pieces that went from basically a black color palette to gold. And it was just to symbolize and show the transformation of someone's life in knowing Christ, while showing a woman's femininity. God continued to just stretch me and take me out of my comfort zone during this season too. And in 2016, I moved to California, and my roomie and my best friend were just living it up in California. We loved it, from the people to just like the diversity, the food, and especially the weather. These 2 girls coming from snowy Michigan, and we loved it. I had the opportunity to share at a church in downtown LA as well, and I got to share just my story and my life in the Philippines and fashion school and writing for different fashion publications and blogging, and of course what mission and vision I'm trying to relay through Fashion Meets God, which is, dressing for the Lord and just being able to be creative through your wardrobe, and you can still love God. And while I was sharing my heart to about 40 women at this event, um, I just thought, like, this is it. Like, I could honestly do this for the rest of my life and I would be so happy. So currently I am back in the Philippines again. I'm actually helping my parents start a business here, but I am still blogging, still putting content out there, and still sharing my faith and my passion for fashion still. God has definitely used every season in my life to just mold me and shape me and refine me, just like a pearl or a crystal. I am not perfect, nor do I say that I am on my blog or anything. I will be the last person to say that. I still have my slip ups. I still, we're humans, so I still fall every single day, but I'm so grateful and thankful for the grace and mercy that God just pours down in my life every single moment of every single day. I am grateful, and I am excited to see the future work that He has for His kingdom through Fashion Meets God and wherever else in the world He may take me. I give all God the glory and praise forever and ever, and I thank you guys so much for watching my story and my testimony as well. I hope you all have a great day. Bye.